Welcome to the Pray with Christ podcast. I'm your host, Emilio, and no one else today. I'm here by myself, not because I didn't want to, but because I kind of just wanted to rant what God's been putting on my heart. And I think that's something that is very important to me to talk about. Let's talk about what a man is. So, first off, I want to say that I don't think no one is a perfect man. I'm definitely not. I have my struggles of what a man is, and I have fell short plenty of times on becoming a man. And I just think talking about it can help us understand what a man is and put a responsibility on us to help each other to become a man. Or ladies can make sure the guys are being men. Because sometimes when a couple men get together, they can do some stupid things. So, of course, we need someone to put us in our place. I think it's very important to talk about this topic because we don't know what a man is in a society nowadays. First off, Generation Z definitely has no idea. The idea of being a man has been so skewed throughout the years, from people who have good intentions to and bad intentions. Definitely with this whole Me Too movement, you start talking about toxic masculinity, and some of the things that people saying that toxic masculinity is not necessarily a toxic. Man, I can't speak. Sorry. But how it's put, the misunderstanding of what that is it's important to discuss. And so, like I said, society now doesn't know what a man is. And we're going to try to work through that. And we're going to try to discover what a man is in this podcast today, just to understand it. And so I think a great verse that helps us to understand what a man is, definitely a godly man, is from 1 Timothy 6:11. And this doesn't only go for a man. I think this goes for godly people in general. But it says man in the ESV version. So 1 Timothy 6:11 says, "But as for you, O man of God, flee these things. Pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, steadfastness, and gentleness." So when we look at that definition, I'm not sure I call it definition, but when we look at that, the subject that Timothy is telling, not Timothy, Paul is trying to Timothy, what Paul's trying to tell Timothy is that, as men of God, we should not pursue evil. We should stay away from it. We should stay away from sin. And of course, we're not perfect and we slip up. But we also, like I said before, we also don't understand what a man is. And so we're going to start talking about that. And I think the greatest way to define something is first to talk about what it's not. So a man is not a coward. Should define what a coward is. This one I will use what a coward is. A coward is someone who doesn't stand up for themselves or others. They will run away from conflict, especially conflict that can be not only physical, but social conflict with just words in general. And this days and age, we can see a lot of people like that because anxiety is through the roof more than ever for a lot of people. That or our diagnosis has got better or worse, depending on who you ask. So, once again, a coward is someone who just strays away from conflict at all costs, because they are afraid, they're terrified. But then we go to a man is someone A man is not someone who uses their power for their um, own wants, own needs, own devices. Um, we can see this a lot in men, definitely now, or I should say, guys. I'm gonna try to stick with that. We see this a lot in guys now these days, who are just trying to get what they want, if it's sex, money, um, certain job, anything, or just to make themselves feel validated. Think that they're men, will use their powers for their own good. So another way to look at this, saying that men are not bullies. You shouldn't bully people, man. Um, but next thing is men don't. A man is not someone who is disrespectful. I think that's a good way to put it. There's a saying that um, you have to earn my respect. I just don't give my respect away for free. You have to earn it from me. Um, that's something I struggle with. I'm someone who's very prideful at times, and if someone doesn't earn my respect, I can be very negative towards them. I've had nasty comments about them to or away from their face. Something like that, I think a lot of men do. It's an outdated saying. This idea that we're always right too. Well, yeah, we have this. We're someone men don't say you have to earn my respect. Men give respect no matter what. If it's to someone you don't like, a coworker, someone at school, a professor, a teacher, a coach if you play sports, and one of the most important things to women. If guys who don't show respect to women are not men. If that's treating them like they don't have a place on this world, only want them for sex, or don't think they can, I don't know how to say this, they don't think they can be productive people of society. I think that's the best way to say it. Or can't work as well as a man. Certain areas like accountant, which is stupid. Back in the old days. So we have those ideas what a man is not. I think another good one is a man is someone who doesn't look for evil or defile himself in evil and sin. Um, there's a difference between defiling sin, and falling into sin, I believe. Someone who falls into sin shows regret, shows remorse, and they want to get out of sin. Someone who loves sin, who devours sin, doesn't want to change their way because they love what they're doing. And a man just doesn't do that. A man will just notice how that's hurting other people. And other stuff. So those are what we have for what a man is not. I think when you start calculating what a man is, so to go back to the first point and to counteract this, a man is brave. What does bravery look nowadays? I guess it's a great question to ask. Bravery doesn't necessarily mean going to battlefield, per se. Of course, those people who do go to war and go onto the battlefield are brave. I don't think bravery necessarily means risking your life. I think bravery, in a sense, is standing up for what you believe. Standing up for the people you love, and not worrying about what's going to happen to you if you do. So, for example, if someone was attacking random people on the street, trying to mug them, a man will step in to try to stop that. God knows what would happen to him, but he wouldn't care. He sees someone in need, he's gonna go help them. And it might just not be that. Might be a financial risk. For example, if a homeless person's on the street asking for money, I believe a man should, if he has any money on him, give to him. As people of God, we're not supposed to look at the poor as a burden. We're supposed to help them out, clothe them, feed them, do what we can to get them on their feet, help them walk, help them see the world. So a man would give money to those needs and not thinking about what good it does for them or what benefits they have from it. It's all about just try and make everybody's lives better. I think that's what true bravery is. Or if we're going to go into the example of standing up for your beliefs, there's a lot of places in the States that won't hire people that have certain beliefs. I know Google will have an issue with someone standing up against abortion. And man, it doesn't just hide his tail and just say, oh, well, I'm going to get fired if I stand up that abortions are wrong. I think it's murder. And so, but if I stand up and say something against this, there's a good chance I can be terminated because my boss is pro-abortion. That's a cowardly move if you don't stand up because you're just afraid you're going to get fired. Man will stand up. Not worry about the consequences. You can always get another job. I might not pay as well. But is it worth risking your integrity? Is it worth not being a man if you just don't stand up for what you believe in? Personally, I don't think it is. Going to the next thing is using men use their power for good. Once again, going back into the bravery thing. There's a socially men have a social role in this world. A lot of time, men are looked at as leaders, and if we don't use the power we have as leaders for good to help others, it won't really do anything for the world, and that's what we need to do. As leaders, we need to change the world. We need to make the world a better place. But of course, all power is corruptible, and this natural power that we have is easily corrupted from men. And I think we need to stray away from that. I think the best way to stray away from that is not looking at yourself as an all-powerful leader or you have all power as a man, because we don't have all power as a man. Because women have power too, and we need each other. We might lead, but I think they're saying that behind every great man is a great woman. And I think that's true. So, for example, for myself, a lot of times I couldn't get through what I get through without my girlfriend, who helps support me. She's actually listening to the audio right now to make sure it's good. And she's looking at me through the window. Well, I couldn't get through the stuff I could do now without her. Which is like the power that she has to stand by me, even though not everything I do might be the smartest thing in the world. Might be pretty stupid. But she stands by me. And I wouldn't be able to do that without her. And I try to use my power is to give back to her, try to make her happy, and try to give her what she needs in life. Excuse me. But I think that's important to understand, that men don't use their powers for themselves. They use power to help others, to help the world succeed. I'm blanking on the other ones I said. Sorry, it's weird talking to the microphone by myself. What else did I say? Well, I think we get the point. I think those two really cover everything. Well, man, it is. I think I think we can talk about what a man does with evil, what he's supposed to do with evil. Like First Timothy said, you can't be looking for evil. You need to stay away from it. And the best way to stay away from it, once again, well, I think the biggest way is to go to God. Recognize that God is all powerful. Not only that, but surround yourself by other men, and then, of course, other women who are godly. I think that's the most important part about being a man is just looking for God for guidance and seeing God as someone who can really help you through life. Um, I think it's also a part of a man's job to realize he's not perfect. However, anyone can realize they're not perfect. I think the second part of that is to realize they're not perfect and then striving to become better, striving to be more like God and His greatness, knowing that we will never get there, but striving to become as great as God. Um, so I want to list examples of men in my life, which I think is important to understand. Definitely nowadays where a lot of boys growing up don't have father like influences, or which really is the first example of a man for a child is their father. This goes for women too. Little girls, they're gonna learn what a man is from their dad, and if their dad is not the greatest dad, she's not not marry a true man at the end of the day. So my father figures at first weren't the greatest, but I had people step up in my life to show me different traits of being a man. I'll start that out with is my pap, who was my first father figure in my life. He taught me what it looks like to be brave, to not be a coward, to do what is needed for his family, his loved ones. I love this man to death. Number one, yeah, but the way I've seen him treat my grandmother, my mother, my siblings, his brothers and sisters, this is really get me to understand that you want to protect everyone at all costs. He never backed down from anything. I've never seen him back down. I've only seen him cry once, and that's when my uncle passed away. Other than that, I've never seen him cry. I've seen the man stick a nail through his hand and not cry. But he always cared. He was always willing to do what he needed to do for his family. I mean, he nearly basically built a whole entire house by himself for my mom and my siblings, and that was just one of the greatest things, and it will always stick with me because he didn't need to do that. He took a financial burden on doing that, and also taking the financial burden of giving land to us to build a house on, which she owned, but he gave it to us, and it was a very grateful thing he did to us, and this is why I think it's really important that financial literacy he took for us. Like where I live in the middle of nowhere, that's a commodity now these days, and people want to move there. And he probably could have got good money for how much land it was, but he didn't matter. He'd just rather have his family happy. And I will always appreciate that. Next person in my life who really showed me what a man is my stepfather, which is my mom's third husband. And then after the first two, which was my biological dad, who I didn't really get to know, he wasn't in my life much. And then my mom's second husband, which somehow was worse than my biological father, who wasn't there. It was a nice relief to see what the father actually looks like, what dad looks like. for once in my life. And it kind of happened. I wasn't old, but after having experienced with two other guys who says they're your dad, I kind of grew out of it. I didn't want to have a dad. And so I didn't know what a dad looked like for a long time. And he came in and showed me that. He showed me what a dad is, and which that's one of the biggest parts about being a man is raising the next generation, being there for his kids, and he was there. So we butt heads every now and then. He also showed me not being a coward, not backing down from his beliefs. You can argue with that man all you want. He'll still stand by what he believes. And it can be frustrating and annoying, but at least he stands up for it. And I love him to death. He really did show me what it's like to be a man. The next person is my football coach from a high school, Coach Fillion. And he's at this point the most religious guy that I've had as a man influence. He taught me humility, and which goes to the power thing, being humble. And he also showed me hard work, which goes back to being selfless. Doing everything you can for others and just being brave. Spent a lot of time with him in the weight room and on the football field, in the classroom, where we talk about football, about life. And honestly, without him, I probably wouldn't be as a hard worker as I am. I always want to do better, and the first family I had outside of my family was the football team. And through that, and through him, he taught me what it's like to give everything for your family. So I can tell you, all throughout high school, when I was playing football, I really gave everything I had to that family. I sacrificed so much to try to get to our goal as a family, as a team, which is a state championship. We got there, didn't win, but that's all right. The point was the journey. And I sacrificed a lot to give what I could for him. And I always tried to be there for my teammates throughout high school, and we all did. And I wouldn't be probably the only one that would say that a true man is like my coach. So, really appreciate that, man. The next man in my life, show me what a true man is my old youth pastor, Zach Blair. That guy showed me what it's like to be a spiritual man, to be a godly man. I've never seen him once try back down from trying to be more like God, trying to chase after God, trying to become a better religious man. He's always looking to be better. He's always looking out for other people too. Not just his family, which his family is lovely. I love them. But also how to help others in need. Always looking to help others. And a lot of that, when I look at him and I see him, I just see one of the guys I want to become like. Which is turn she's trying to become like God. So I think that's the lesson that I learned from him, is to become like God. So this idea of manhood, it's so hard to grasp. And from those four guys, my point of me telling you all that is that we need other people to teach us who a man are, what a man is, I should say. And the hard part is trying to understand that. And the hard part in this world is that there's not many men in it. There's a lot of guys in it, but they mean nothing when they don't know what they're doing. They're lost, and it might not be their fault that they're lost. They might not have anyone else there to show them. But I think it's that it takes several of us to step up. Definitely in Generation Z. I'm on the older end of Generation C. And just looking at that, just looking around, I see this huge responsibility, not only on the generation itself, but definitely the guys in this age group. You know, we have people younger than us who are growing up without fathers. Um, and just seeing that is devastating. They won't know what it's like to be a man. Some people just don't grow up around good influences at all, and they will never know what it's like to be a man. And though I don't think I'm the perfect man or close enough to be leading people as becoming men, I think this is the first step, is to talk about it. And now my definition might be not be the greatest, but it's a work in progress. And I think through God, it can become better. And through God, when He starts opening my eyes with more wisdom, more understanding, pouring other people in my life, other men in my life, that I will start to understand it. And I have a lot more men in my life already that are not the 4 men that I've mentioned. I can name you multiple and more who's just shown me what it's like. You know, there's also Zach Del Turco, who I talk a lot about on this podcast, who showed me what it's like just to be loving. And there's Doug Bradbury, who's one of my professors. She showed me what it's like to be just caring for everyone. It's just caring for justice in the world and helping everyone you can and not worrying about what you're getting out of it, which I think is important. And many other men. But I think this is the start. And once again, I think I'm going to define the man one more time, what a man is. A man is someone who is brave, someone who is willing to sacrifice everything for his loved ones and his beliefs. A man is someone who uses their power to help others in need. A man is someone who's looking for God at all times. Though a man may stumble, he doesn't look down on himself. A man will get up. A man will try and try again to become better. He will never succeed in everything he does, but he will be damned if he doesn't try. He will be damned if he doesn't work to be better. He'll be damned if he doesn't become more like God. And I think in this current state of how I'm thinking it, I think that's the closest definition we can get. And by the way, when I say damned, I don't mean going straight to hell, because that's not how that works. But this is emphasis on what I'm trying to say. Probably a little bit poetic, my terrible poetry. But yeah, I'm sorry about the weird feel about this one. I'm sorry about the rant. My thoughts may have been a little bit jumbled this episode. But I think it's important to think about. So I want to leave you guys with the thought of, are you a man? Or if you're a lady, is there a man in your life? If you're a guy, you should be asking yourself, not only if you're a man, but what are you doing in other people's lives if you are a man? How are you changing their lives? How are you trying to get them to become better? How are you trying to get closer to God in every way possible? So that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, like, share with anyone who needs to hear this, which is everybody. But yeah, thank you for watching, and see you next time.